I just connected with a team member line the settings and screenlights adaptation system. She's very informative in position locations, but she basically didn't understand the truth of her, what she can do through calculations. And I can't do it. I don't know how to do it, right? Well, I just showed her how, and now it's all good to go. So, wow, this is amazing. So I can never really lock myself out of anything. You just think you are being locked out, but you don't think that there's a solution to these things. Everybody comes and goes. Now, you have to understand there's no controlling system until you understand the controlling system of you. There's no controlling system until you understand how to control your system. It's the how, not the why, not the who, not the where, not the when, not the what. It's the how. How to process this. How do I do this? How do I know that I've already done this? It's how you speak, guys. It's how you connect. And when you're connecting to all levels of truth of who you really are. So how can that affect you? Unless you want that to affect you through frequency. So you're changing your frequency of you, of who you are. Not what you're seeing, not what you're doing, not what you're hearing. You're changing frequencies of who you are. So, of course, it's going to affect you in all ways and forms. So, don't allow it. There's no can't, there's no won't, there's no don't. Understand? Because if you don't get, it's not a position of being positive, guys. I know it's hard for you guys to understand these things. Now, you do what you want to do, what's comfortable for you. That's totally fine. But you're always coming back. You're always coming back to the balance, to its awareness of consciousness, of its knowledge of what you already know. Your information is knowing how to ground your system and your mind is to keep yourself stillness. If you're not understanding this and you're not understanding this, and this is too complicated, this is too confusing, that's on you because you're out of sync with yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to identify that. And the only way to identify that is to actually get into the formations of its operation, of its communications, of its unification setting, location you're setting. Focus. How does that represent you? Get into your own system. So everything that you see doesn't exist. And you have to let that go. How can you become your own formula? How can you become your own equation? How can you become your own binary? How can you become your own algorithm if you see everything around is social media? You are social media. How you represent yourself. When I went into the position location of acting, in that position, so we're all actors, we're all directors. You just have to understand what you're directing and why you're directing. Why am I bringing this in? Why am I bringing that in? No, I don't want to bring this in. No, I don't want to bring that in because that doesn't work well for me. That doesn't benefit me. So why am I bringing that in? Don't bring it in. You don't bring it in, it doesn't exist. But if you want to bring things into existence, how you bring the characters, how you bring the players in the game that you are. This is a game of life. And it's all levels of psychological, how you perceive and see things. So there's always going to be distraction. There's always going to be separation because that's all you're thinking about. You're not thinking about anything else. You're not thinking anything positive. You're not always in positional locations of positive. You're always online positional locations of negative. The hardest thing is to keep yourself balanced. The hardest thing is to understand emotional means to an end. If I get position lines to all of the 6 feet long rope, and I'm here, and this is all I'm focusing on. This is my life. This is the expansion. But what about the other side? It's not another side. It's one rope, guys. So why do you think there's another side of the rope? That's a program. When I say everything is a program, I mean everything is a program. So you have to go back to everything of nothing. You want me to get technical? You have to go back to everything of zero and start all over again. Self, travels, awareness, remembering, teleportation. Start. Okay? There's no beginning, there's no end. But for you guys that understand these things, you are only understanding what you see, but you're not perceiving what you are. You're not perceiving what you are. You're looking at the program. Instead, you should be looking at you of frequency, of programmers, getting in position to see yourself as it's setting, all through calculation, all through modifications. And how you come into that is a lot more easier when you come into that through attraction. The most powerful thing that you guys have to recognize, you are attracting things constantly on a 24 angle. Yeah, 24 line settings and set positions, but you're not waking up to the next day. You're not waking up to the same day. You're not waking up to no day. Nothing exists until you bring it into existence. You don't even have to exist. You're not there. You bring your own self in. That's how powerful you guys are. Get into your own social media of yourself. Get into your own representations and see yourself of who you are, frequencies, knowing exactly where the adaptation of your mind is. Where are you in your mind? I can't communicate with this. I can't communicate with that because I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding that. Not knowing. It's always knowing. Okay? It's not about being positive. You guys have to come in to understand what has just happened, which is happening right now. And even the now, how do you represent now? I told you that before, is to change the binary of everything that comes to you through information, but you don't focus on that. You rather focus on everything that's so important. What is so important that this comes to me? Why is this so important that that comes to me? It's always going to come to you through distraction. It's distraction or it's going to benefit you. It's one or the other, guys. And anything of communication comes at you. Why is it so hard for you guys to change the binary? Why is it so hard to change the argument? Because you don't see yourself as own computers of your own system. That's your problem. You're not processing. You're not remembering of the operation of the platforms. Okay? To the levels of existing in your minds. Problem. Write it down. Write things down if you don't understand these things. Write these things down if you understand the operation system. The most powerful thing, and I keep saying powerful, is to understand the mind itself writes and rewrites itself. Your body is in the center of everything that does nothing. It's the mind that does everything. It's the mind that does everything of creation. You don't do anything. You don't do anything. It's already done. So what's there to do? What's there to do? What is there to worry about? Worry is a hindrance. Now, how do you see worry? Worry is the problem because you're not processing it, remembering of its operation, of its balance, of its levels, of its existing, of its mind, guys. It's mind. Mind over matter. What mind? It doesn't matter. If it matters, does it benefit me? Is this going to help me? Is this going to guide me? Is this going to get me in position where I already am? So if I'm already there, there's nothing to talk about. Focusing on nothing shows you everything, right? That's why everybody gets confused. So you have a right to leave. You have a right to stay. That's totally up to you in that position, right? So this is a spiritual journey. Yes, I understand that. But it's going to get a lot more harder the more you separate yourself of not understanding you, of frequencies of who you really are, of the VR system that you're already in. How can you leave something if you don't understand that you're already there? How can you leave something if you already stand who you are through operation of all position, location, and calculations? How can you leave something if you don't understand in position how you got there in the first place? You've always been there. You haven't left. You've got to come in to your own codings of your own factors, of your own formulas, of your own equations, of your own system. And the only way to do that is by doing nothing, which focuses on everything. And everything comes to you. Nothing comes back to you because you're already there. You guys get so confusing on every level. Not understanding this, not understanding this. I got to analyze this. I got to analyze that. What's there to analyze? You complicate your systems instead of understanding the simplicity of the system. Okay? That's all this is, guys. That's all it is. You make decisions, and that's on you and doing choices. But I guarantee you, it's going to follow up in your system and all lines that correlates in the system, and it cooks all calculates streamlines adaptation, body reaction, not response. The most lines of communication system is understanding how to use it through activation. You're activating yourself, understanding yourself. Understand communications, understand how to communicate with yourself. Understand how to communicate with digital pad. Right? You think I'm using the same pad every single time? Think again. Okay? I'm always in a different level, different frequency. I'm not in a different time measure, but wait a minute, I might be in a different time measure. I'm in charge of what I want to do. So if there's no day, there's no day. You can't tell me there's a day. You can't tell me there's a month. You can't tell me there's a year. I'm in charge. I will let you know if there's space. I will let you know if there's time. Don't come to me and tell me that there is no space. Don't come to tell me that there is no time. I'm in charge that there's space. I'm in charge that there's time. You've got to come into your own systems. That's the only way you're going to keep yourself distracted from everything. Okay? That's what puts you off calculations. That's what puts you off grid. And that's what puts you off sync with yourself, of frequencies of who you are. And once you start recognizing that, life gets easier. It's rather being complicated to come into being easy, rather being easy into complication. No. The highest formation for you is to understand you of self-modification, of self-preservation. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why do I exist? Right? Question. How many questions do you want to be answered until you understand that you already have the answers of what you're saying in position locations? And when you come into Q&A, all of a sudden you don't understand what you just finished doing because the answer's already there, what you just said. There's a question in everything that you say, and you're not listening to that. Because you're not communicating with your mind. You're not using your telepathy. The mind has to be still. Setting position lines attract centers. Size core centers. Here's a tree. Here's a bush. Okay. Walkway. Set position. Wall screens. And direct signals. Okay. So that's you in the center. So are you going to go over here? Are you going to go over here because you're lost? No. You stay in the center and use your sonar to the tree and to the bush. You keep yourself calm, right? They communicate back with you. They communicate back with you. Hey, guess what? Over here. Go through here. Whoa! I'm out of the forest. Woo-hoo! Disappeared. Created it and disappeared on its own. See? So the tree in the bush told me how to get out. Because I kept my mind still, not freaking out, not getting set, not thinking of this, not thinking of that, realizing how to get out, which is all projection of light, right? Anything that you come in positions of, you can get out of any situation. But if you keep focusing on negative things, you're never going to get out of anything. So you're going to have a very hard time understanding how to use your mind and what you already know. You're going to have a very hard to understand location of operation of what you already know. You're going to have a very hard to understand locations of everything you're learning, which you don't already need to know because you already have it. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to experience. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to hear. You've got to get out of that because that is all levels of program. That's all it is, nothing else. Okay? All right, so it's a perfect example when it comes into cycles of this set position location of travel. When you're lost, this is what it comes into. Use your telepathy, mind of stillness, and you're out of the forest. Rather going here and rather going there. Rather going, I don't know, what do I do? Where do I go? I don't know what I'm doing here. Right? So you have to truly understand how this all works because everything works for you. It's an arrow that comes to you through attraction. Your body is nothing but attraction, but you have to see yourself as frequency because that's all you are. And understand that through your energy, your vibrations, and your harmonics of who you are is the mind of where you are. Who you are is where you are. Who you are is where you are. Okay? So I'm just showing you how powerful it is, how you can be lost in the forest, and how you can get out. By talking to a tree or talking to a bush. See, once we identify its consciousness of an awareness, then we understand we're all together. We're all as one. We're not separated. We're always existing, always levels. We don't need to exist because we're already in existence. We don't need to survive because we're already there. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that because we're already there in transition. So you have to understand all levels of you, how to use in all lines of communication system and all calculate and modify and track calculations through line adaptations into the VR system wherever you are, your virtual realities of you. Okay. So living in your system is inside of you. We already know that, but it's true that you understand everything around you is also in its VR system, which is also in its operation of its own space, of its own time, of its own properties, guys. Everybody gets very confusing. Sir, I don't understand this. Well, because you don't understand what's around you. You don't understand your environment. You don't take time to actually calm the mind and calm the soul. You don't look at positions of results. You look at everything as a problem. Problem is just processing, remembering the operation of the balance of the levels of existence of the mind. Write that down because that's what it is, and that is facts. So every time you come into a problem, you're processing it. And you're trying to remember the operation of its balance, of its levels, of its existing of the mind. It's very powerful once you start recognizing that, what it means. Stop seeing everything as a problem and start to see everything as a result. Or you're never going to understand that everything is done for you. Done through its equation. Done. There's nothing to do. So if there's nothing to do, there's nothing to worry about, right? Unless you want something to worry. Now that changes everything, but it doesn't change the alterations of what you've already done. It just puts you in more confusing, of a higher frequencies that you are, that puts you off sync on everything around you and you're in positions of through confusion, separation, and depression. Because you're causing that. Nobody else. It's because you're not understanding the mind, you're not understanding the travel, you're not understanding the operation of you inside. Of course, it's going to affect your system. But you're going to keep doing it anyway, because it's so important. It's so important to pay attention to me, okay? It's so important to focus on everything else. Why is it so important to focus on everything else? Is it that hard to really focus on yourself? Is it that hard to realize that everything that you've already focused on is already done? So what's there to focus on? Nothing. And that's where it comes into. Nothing shows you everything. You are created of nothing. You're not coming from nothing. You are nothing, which is the mass of everything. And that's the what you got to come into. Empty mind, space mind. Empty the mind comes into space of mind. So the only thing that you come across when you're using the telepathy is communications coming to you. You're actually listening to the conversation in your minds. Becoming you are, I am the mind. I am space. I am time. I am what I am. Okay? Not thinking this, not thinking that. Not understanding this, not understanding that. Okay? There's nothing to be understanding because it's already been understood. There's nothing to say because it's already been said. Or you're going to go across the lines of communication setting like he said this, she said that. You're doing that to yourself. All you're doing is creating drama. Why create drama when everything's already done? When there's nothing to do? But you are all levels of nothing. That's where you guys came from. Okay? Coming operations of its mind, of its intelligence, of its networks, of its grounds. Coming. Home beacon light. Operation of the mind of existing. Coming home. Write it down. I want to make things very clear because you guys get so confused of everything around you because you don't focus on yourselves. You don't think it's important to focus on these things. You think it's more important to focus on this person, focus on that person, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this, focus on that. No, you focus on yourself, right? It's very easy to focus on yourself once you identify what you're doing. It's very easy to focus on yourself when you understand what's going on with you. It's very easy to focus on yourself when you're just focusing on yourself. How do you get things done? If you don't just focus on yourself, it's already done. I'm going to keep saying that more and more, and then you guys really understand how this all works in supposition. Okay? It's all levels of coding, right? Decoding, E-coding, E factors of coding, it doesn't matter. But what does it mean to you? So if anybody comes to me and tells me this and tell me that, and I said, no, that's not what it is. But yes, it is. Well, how do you know? Because I'm traveling through and you're not. Whoa, that makes a lot of sense. So did I make a mistake? No, you didn't make any mistake. You're just not understanding what you did. So what does did mean, right? Division, intelligence, direction. So you tell me how's that did, right? So they, okay, thoughts, harmonious, energy, you, they. So you tell me how that is they, and you tell me how that is did. See how you guys are off signal because you focus on everything else that's given to you and you don't focus on yourselves? I'm going to keep saying that, keep saying that, keep saying that until you understand the forming, until you understand the identification, until you understand the communication to its unity of self-modification, of self-preservation. Focus on yourselves because that's how you get things done. When I say done, because you need title and you need label and you need structure, without that, you'd be very confused. You wouldn't know where you are in your minds. You have no concept what goes on when you go into sleep mode or recharge or remote. You think it's a problem because you can't understand this. You think it's a problem because you can't understand that because you don't take time to focus on what you're doing with your mind. You're not taking time to really calm your soul. You're not really taking time to quiet the mind. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. Okay? Especially with the team. Especially when you're MI24s or MI19s or M23s or M22s, right? This is stuff that you already know. This is not stuff I'm giving you. I'm not giving, hey, here's a test. It's due Wednesday. Okay, I got the weekend and it's due Wednesday, so I got a week to do this, right? What are you talking about? It's already done. See? Caught you in a web. See? How things are presented to you has already been done. So how does that help you out? How does that help you out of everything that comes to you is already done? You guys can't come into the realization of what you did through creation because you're not co-creators. And it doesn't matter how you look at it or how far back you go. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is you. And how you bring things into existence is through true nature, through true space of time, foundation, blockings, or anything that you see or anything you perceive in set position. But it's all psychological of psychosis. How you connect, how things come to you. Why is it so important that things come to you? You have to believe this. Why do you think it's so important that everything comes to you? You have to believe that. Why can't you just come in position and say to yourself, this doesn't exist. I'm not allowing this to exist because it takes off me in the game that I'm in or the game that I am. And then you start to realize the relation that you're trying to do is understand that you're trying to stand up formations of you, but you're focusing on everything else that's so important. I can't communicate with my husband. I can't communicate with my wife. I can't communicate with my kids. I can't communicate with this. I can't communicate with that. What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? Why is it so important that you're not focusing on yourself? Because you don't know how. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Because we all come across that, okay, in that position. But you've got to let everything go. You have to let everything go. You got to surrender. You got to get into discernments. Even if you constantly keep surrendering every single time, even the team goes really high in the mind eyes, they still have to keep surrendering because they're going to get very confused in the mind. And the body, whoa, I don't understand this at all. Look at the frequencies I'm at now. So either the body accepts and moves up, or the body accepts and moves down. And there is a down. There is a down, which is a lower spectrum, which is a lower frequency, which is a lower setting. And you don't want to go there because you understand the frequencies of you, of who you are, is where you are, set in division. Okay, and any way and form in anything in calculations, guys. But you've got to focus on yourselves, nothing else. Okay? That's all you got to do. It's how you bring these things into frame is determination. What happens next, because you have decisions and choices. Decisions and choices is already set. So there's nothing really to discuss, is there? So it just doesn't make any sense to say, okay, here's a test, it's due Wednesday. So why am I giving you a test if you've already done the test? So that means the knowledge is already there for me already through access. So I just don't understand the frame. I understand the vision. I don't understand the time. I don't understand the clocking. And that's why I get very confused. You get confused because you're not connecting to yourself now. You're putting yourself off sync because you're focusing on this, you're focusing on that. You're looking at this and you're looking at that. You're getting calls of this, you're getting calls of that. You're getting solar text of this, you're getting solar text of that. That's your problem because you're not processing it right. You're not remembering the operation of the balance of the levels of the existing of who you are in your minds. That's what it is through problem. So there is no problem. There is no worry. You're all looking at all communication lines, and the only thing that you're looking at in set position location is you at all times of existing all timelines all at once. Nothing else. Nothing else. When I say you have to go all the way in position of nothing, that is the foundation of creation. And it doesn't get any better than that. There's nothing to do. But all you guys do is focus on emotional means to an end. So you realize, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, and there's a 6 feet of rope, and I got to focus on what? Focus from here to here. Who says I have to focus on this much? There's no other side of a rope. It's a one-side rope. It's a two-side rope. It's a 60,000 side rope. It is what it is through your imagination. Your imagination is everything to your reality that changes everything through phenomenon. Okay? You don't focus on this. You focus on this. Your film strip's done. It's done, people. So stop focusing on things that you don't understand because it's already been understood. Okay? I'm just trying to make that very well clear because there's a lot of people getting very confused. Very confused. Sir, I don't understand this through structure. Sir, I don't understand this through time. Sir, I missed this. Sir, I missed that. Sir, am I late? You're never late because you're always existing. You're never early because you're always existing. So everything you say to me, you're constantly existing in the VR system. It's a continuous force that just keeps going and going and going and going. So how can you make mistakes, guys? How can you make mistakes? You can't. You can't make mistakes. You can't alter something that's already set in your mind of its state. Your mind state is already set up. So how can you make mistakes? How is there a right? How is there a wrong? Especially when you already went through the process. There's nothing to process. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to hear. You understand that? I'm making it very well clear so nobody gets confused. Now, what's going on with them? Right? Should I take this job? Should I do this? I want to go see this. I want to go see that. Should I buy this? Should I buy that? Are you realizing that you already have it through attraction? But it comes to you. Remember the steps, the procedures of the steps? Right? You guys don't even focus on that. You actually think you're buying a new jacket. You actually think you're buying new glasses. You actually think you're getting a new haircut. You actually think you're buying a new sweater. Think again. If you understand the relation of your system through your body, through attractions, you're going to start paying attention to that. Because every time you get up in the morning, you're getting in positions of going into rewind. Your body is going to keep going in rewind until it understands how to go forward. It's got to understand direct and redirect, guys. Through its space-time of operations, of what it's already been through its VR system. But you get very confused here in anomalies. It's so important that I got to focus on my husband. It's so important because I got to focus on my wife or my kids. What about me? I got to focus on myself. Myself. If I don't focus on myself, I am lost. I am separating myself. Thinking I'm separating myself. You can't even say separation, but you want to believe it's real. And guess what? You're bringing in its reality of its existing for it to real. Now, if you're bringing in the past is now existing in the real time. Congratulations, you're getting older because you allowed yourself to do that. Now, understanding what you finished did through your parallels of your existing, of the existence of who you are in your body through adaptation. Now you have to really understand what you really are of frequencies. Okay, I'm trying to make it easier for everybody so they don't get confused at everything that goes on with anything with school, with anything with drama, or anything that you do, or anything you come into. You're not coming into this. You're not coming into that because it's already done. How many times do I have to say done by equation? But you still don't understand that because you're not focusing on yourselves. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter what you see or what you hear or what you learn or what you experience. It's already done. Okay? All right. Now, getting in that position, location, and calculations, you guys got your test today. So we're going to go through the review and evaluation. Getting lines of track lines, let's go into triangulation, split lines of anomaly in 3 settings and travel. Direct lines of 1 cycle, 1 center, 1 surface, 1 traction, 1 division. Okay? Center course settings, line condition settings of 3 tractions, 2 lines of 1, and 1 set location, 1 provision. 1 cycle is 1 pi, 1 generation screen, directing signals, processing line cycles, high travels, and line rotation surface, and next 2,000 of travel. Directing core line side interference at 3 lines of correlation, directing signals into modification, initiate, run, line communication, and processing. Process lines of 1 over lines of 3 in track location. Set course centers, line condition next 2,000, platitude 1 cycle. Position lines of platform to 2 cycles. Platform communication lines of center course center line communication system. You know how I'm able to do these things? Because I don't think about it. You know why? Because I don't worry about it. You know why? Because it's all done. Everything I've given to you is done through equation. It's just you remembering this. You remembering you did this. You're remembering you did that. You remember this through your academy. You remember this through your universe. You remember this in set position. You remember this in travel. You remember this in the team. You remember that in the team. Everything given to you is rewind, rewind, rewind. Until you understand rewind is forward, forward is backwards, backwards, forward, and then you stand how to direct and redirect your system into your computers that you are, not what you see. The more you see yourself as a computer operation system, you're allowing your computer operation inside of you of synchronization. You're allowing yourself in. With Jennifer Lopez, she's never worked in the field. She's an analyst, right? But she built a relationship with that computer. And what did that computer say? Let me in. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to give you instructions of who I am. Okay? I have to be firm with everybody because you're causing so much drama for yourself. You don't need to cause drama. Just have fun. Enjoy life. Life is to have fun, not to worry, not to separate, not to confuse, not to be anxiety, not to be stressed, not to be feared. There's nothing to fear, fear itself. Even that doesn't exist. Fear, forming, existing, awareness, and remember. Write it down. Whatever you see fit, whatever it is in position of you, it has nothing to do with anybody else. But how you see it is how you want to see it. That's all it is. You're constantly existing of yourself and each other all at once in one plateau, in one clocking, in one rotation, in one unity of one consciousness, in one big, gigantic, energetic field that puts everything of operation in your settings. One big eternity cloud that everybody's in, the galactic empire that is now expanding. Okay? All right. Setting lines of communication. Let's go through coloration line settings. Now, getting communication setting, everything the picture frame is course center location, your setting location navigation system. Now, you're getting ground lines. Let's get into blue center lines of core track center line communication. Directing the lines of single lines across line communication setting across circles of track location. Directing lines in security line division, set course system and travels. Point lines of graph communicate to a setting and travel. Directing signals, cloak and dagger comes in line signals, line communication setting. Let's put all communications to its surface. Triangulate point lines of settings, all line communication system. White screens, direct signals, and modification, screen line adaptation. See it coming out, right? Back in equation, right? Okay, having fun, guys. So voice and line grids, high center core, high communication system, all direct signals, right? But you can actually see it coming out of the TV frame. It's a lot of fun when you're not focusing on this and just focus on everything else. Okay, that's massive everything. Nothing is massive everything that you see. You're seeing everything all at once. That's massive everything. Nothing is information how you see things. You exist or you don't exist. So that's how you guys are of who you really are through frequencies. Of nothing, massive everything you see. And that's how you see things through its equation. Okay? All right, directing lines, high center location, mystical cortex. Setting core centers is the mystery line screen. Now, directing lines and modification lines, let's go through 20 lines of value and go into a 5-track location line provision and to 36 settings. Setting core track location at 20 seconds. Setting line position location to 2 million line frames. Let's get into core lines and data formation line screen adaptations and process into aerodynamic screen line adaptation location in the system. Process calculation lines, knowing exactly how to go through line screen adaptation. Process lines of 1, 19 is over line, flux, equals lines, core center interference, travel, and Fibonacci and screen line adaptation. Process calculation lines of 36 lines of value. Remember, you're never in the same frequency. You always change the same frequencies, but you always stay in the same operation of change. You change your system, you're expanding your minds in all levels of collaboration and expansion, and all levels of exploration, setting, and travel. Okay? 20 line cycles, 5 centers. Set position, location, and setting. Process line 1 signal. Okay? Cross line conditions all levels of tubing and 2-track locations. Setting core centers, line condition setting, 2 lines of value, 2 million track lines of box line, frequency lines, ground star location, and crop circles. Look at that, it disappeared right in front of you. You didn't even see it. Traveling too fast in track location. I'm using my voice line because you got to not just use your minds. You got to use your voice. You got to use your fingers. You got to use your communications. You got to use everything inside position, location, and calculation through its setting. All through collaboration, all through partnership, all through interfacing of inception. Okay? Having fun is just having fun. It's not about, should I have fun today? And then maybe I'll be sad tomorrow. And I think I'm going to be, yeah, that's it. I'm going to be depressed on Thursday. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Do you realize how ridiculous that is? And you guys are doing that. You're not even consciously aware of what you're saying to yourself. You know, I'm going to be fear on Saturday. Yes, because I have this movie that's coming in traction. So I'm going to get in that position locations. But I do want to be happy on Monday. That's important because I have my friend coming over. Guys, come on. You see how stupid that sounds? Stupid is stupid does, right? So stupid is the self, the travels, the unifications, the programs of the intelligence of its direction. Stupid. Stupid said, stupid does, right? So there's no right or wrong, right? Sorry, not sorry. You know, you say what you want to say, but what it means to you, is it benefiting you or it's not benefiting you? Don't say it at all. Or you're always going to have your foot in your mouth and you don't understand why you have your foot in your mouth until you understand what it tastes like. It's not going to taste good, is it? See, the truly understanding is to understand how to put yourself in your systems. It's to understand how you communicate with your systems through telepathy. Once you understand how to communicate with that, then you understand that you are in relations of who you are, of frequencies, of where you are in your minds. Okay? Okay, getting the position lines, attractions, and direct signals. Now, the unification of the lines, of course, is a navigation screen. Okay, in that communication system, add plasmas lines, directing signals, and graph communications. All the calculations. Ground centers, calculation lines and arrows, lines of indication lines of data files, directing lines of signals into modification ground centers. 3-track location lines of provision, and set calculations. All right, 3 ground centers into all calculate and modify. Directing signals in set core centers. Triangulate the position of program correlation lines of files and line position location of data that process lines into your reception. Cross-line condition setting and set position. Okay? Coming to you within all centers of operation surface and track location. Okay? So getting in direct and redirect line course centers and knowing exactly how to use your magnetic high line screens, the direct location to higher levels of the mind's eye. Putting you guys in line screen adaptation settings and understand you and track location your system through your highways. There's your highways, right? 3 core settings and 3 track location, right? Now, directing symbolism, the plasma screen adaptation, right? Tractors communication line direct signals to its energetic line screen adaptation location to a setting through its umbrella. There's the umbrella. Directing course settings in central core system of your Earth in set position to its operation surface interaction. Transits over line screen adaptation at all levels, cross-referencing lines, lacing line communication setting and rainbow graph screens, and travel endpoint lines of graph communicate to its system, all through traction. In cycles, line screen adaptation line communication system. So cross line settings in set location of film strip and set position of design. Sets course settings line communication setting, open signals, elixir, cosmic flame, cosmic fire, serpent flame, serpent fire, and track location. 4 settings, right? Pyramid 1, Pyramid 2, and Pyramid 3, and Pyramid 4, and line position location on standby. Track correlation setting XT1001, XT1002, and XT line screen adaptations. That takes over sequence and line screen adaptation of surface and track location. Okay, done by equation. Setting course centers of triangulation, box, percentage lines into, we get an XT1 line, we get an X platform, we'll get an XJ line setting, we'll get it into platform C, we'll get it in documentation lines, set a course center location of box frame, get carcass and screen adaptation lines in align position location and all levels of sign communications, sign course setting line condition setting, process lines of 6 and 9 travel, directing signals, modification lines, line community interference. We can put 16 line screens, directing signal lines and 5 line measure, course interference of 41 tractions and direct signals in position locations and setting, 50,000 line screen adaptations and track location. Hooah, all through coding. Now, this is through observation. What if I change it through intent? It comes out, right? So if it comes out, now it's intent. Now, understand intent is understand influence. Understand influence, understand manipulation. Your mind altering something and you're changing the binary, you're changing the algorithm, then changing the error location setting to its polarities that changes the paradoxical system location to a setting that sets all communication setting to an override, overdrive, or communication system and travel. All through calculations. Okay? Okay, so ground centers, lines of 1, say course center interference, security line division lines, cross-line symbols, cross-line division, cross-line interference, travels and point lines of graph communicate through system through operation. All right, red symbolism of 45 cross line. That's why I want you guys to watch Raiders of Lost Ark, because we're coming in that cycle. Setting direct lines of symbolism and cross lines of lights. So course centers, line communication setting, cross line again. And a 45 split lines of anomaly, 45% correlation setting attraction. Directing signals, line communication blue line circles lines of 1, blue line circles lines of 2, and 0 gravity line communication crop circles of 4 and track location. See, it left its system and travel. You got to catch an eye line. Right, there it is, 3 cycles. Okay, so we get ground centers, then we have the green line symbolism, cross this line, outline correlations into lines, area lines, and 1/52 location of 5 interactions. Connecting lines, course interference, major course center location settings, 2 XT1000s on plateau, all right? 16 lines of value, course center line communication setting, line high course center interference travel, point lines of graph, XT1000 and 2 measure, and 2 track location. Directing correlating settings in position over purple lines of 1, travels lines of 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144 platforms. Directing signal lines, cross line signals, line condition setting half pipe 6 over 1, 6 over 8, 8 lines of 12, 12 lines of 14, 14 lines of 28, initiate run, process line screen adaptation, processing line direct signals in modification. Done by equation. What just happened? Now it's coming out through equation. So if you really focus on what's going on, what is in the center here? See that? See that right there? Right there. That's what you focus on. Right there, right there, right there. Okay? Okay? Mothership. Just focusing on the mothership is knowing exactly how to use the communication to its motherboard. As line communication is how you see it through the atmospheres, the hemispheres, the stratospheres, the biospheres, the ionospheres, the correlation spheres, the track spheres, the communication spheres, the VR spheres, the AVR spheres, the central spheres, the course center spheres, the line communication spheres, Electrical line, high core centers of spheres, line position, location of spheres, millennium spheres, processing spheres, communication spheres. Everything's a sphere. Everything's a sphere. Everything's rotation. Everything's circulation. Everything's all existing all at once, right? And all through traction. Okay, that's what you focus on. So all this is on standby. All this is what you focus on right here. Okay. So get in that position. And then you understand track location of your settings. Okay, all through clockings or foundations or correlations. So you see what you see what you do. You see what you are in that position locations. You can't change who you are. You can't change what you're already done. So the only thing you can come into is all levels of muscle memory of what you already know. And the only way to understand that is to really just focus on yourselves, right? I know it's hard for you guys to understand these things, but you don't have to worry about getting these things done if it's already in its equation. I mean, it's just truly understanding that why I'm in the mind of a body, understand the navigation system. So if I just really just focus on the nothing, everything comes to me through attraction in chronological order of what I already said and what I've already done. Gets in position to its location system and say, whoa, this is interesting because you kind of look familiar. Is that a coincidence that somebody looks familiar to you? No, you've already had time aligned with them through the alteration that's already in set. So everything is a film strip. That's all this is, guys. Just a film strip, nothing else. So in that position lines of settings, this is your interactions and direct signals. It's really interesting too, because you have to understand the formation of how this all works. This gets you a better understanding too, because once you get in line communication, astral travels, action connection, astral projections, then you truly understand what goes on when you're in sleep mode, recharge, or remote. Yeah, that's you, right? Platitude 1 and position of crossover 3. Timestamp, time center, time calculations, cross line signals, and film strip line, design line communication, right? So this is really interesting. Your Earth is here, right? Check this out. Your actual Earth is in the center operation of you, okay? This is the crop circle of you, which is your metabed. Yeah, that's your metabed. That's your Earth. So you get out of the ether, you get out of the core, you get out of the firmament. 1, 2, 3, and 4 settings. Okay, that's how it all works. Process lines is high center interference, out position line. Directing lines is symbolism, track correlation setting to travels and direct signals into modifications of delta heading. Process lines in 1, 2, and you're out through 3 cycles into your higher self, your avatar, or your sin. Flying and recognition of time sequence. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So you're out of ether, you're out of the core, you're out of the firmament. But you got a 4-line cycle. What's that position location? Earth, air, set core lines and relines, directing singular membrane cycles, lines to its travel location, setting to its home beacon light, Earth, right? Setting course and line connects E, A, R, T, H, sets location, direct and redirect. Sending symbolism location lines at E tracks, A lines of screen, directing lines all over remembering cycles, travel course center interference, home beacon lights of travel, laser course center locations to its atmospheres, line connects its relay positions program, energized course center locations to its home beacon light and correlation setting travel. There's your sky grid. That's how it's set up when you guys go into remote through travel. Lacing lines of anything of communication city. Crop circles and direct signals, okay, to your Earth, right? So it's really interesting too, because you have to understand the center operation of you is already in the center. So it's your body that's moving through attraction. So we got platforms of communication sitting, process line at 3 centers of 4. Cross line condition setting high center locations, lines of high center location system at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in set position. Cross line communication lines of center sets 3 lines of triangulation, setting lines of 4 line rotations into magnetic highways in set position. I mean, narrow links in travel. So you go through 4 platforms and then you're out. Okay? But this is the center position you're always in. You never leave. So the center position of the mind is in 2 panels of its heart line screen adaptation, right? The heart recognition, the flower recognition, the light force, the tree of light force, but that's you in the center. So I want you to understand how this all works in sleep mode, what goes on through Skynet and Skyrids. And once you get in that position, You come out of the equations, guys, right? I'm showing you basic steps here. So you get a true understanding that when you close your eyes and when you open your eyes, you're seeing the same thing. If you close your eyes and you open your eyes, you're not seeing the same thing. You're in a different dimension. You're out of sync. You're not in position. You're out of calculations. You're now separated. You're separated in your minds, okay? See, the mind itself is not separated. You're allowing yourself to believe it's separated, which is more real to the system, to the body that has no choice but to react and not respond. So it's very important what goes on when you go in all lines of communication setting. When you go into sleep mode, you go into screensaver, when you go into remote or recharge. This is what goes on. Grounds, powers, atmospheres, highways, Skynet, Skygrid. All right. All right, so it's a lot more complicated now, right? Because that's what you're reaching now, higher levels of the mind through the eye lines. So you see more focus in that position, all right? So then you come into cross-line screens, cross-communication system and line settings and all levels of two-track location. So crossing line, location grid, crossing line, communication screen lines adaptation. It's really interesting too, because you know exactly where you're going, right? But see, that's it, because it's already been done. So all you're doing is just following a sequence in coordinates. The connections have coordinates and line direct signals is in modification setting to travel. Puts lines of track location settings to secured lines. Starting signals, this is you traveling through. Okay, going here, right? Okay, and then you're going through these platforms, all right? And then you're crossing through platforms of communication to another dimension and track location. Okay, now that's one platform in set position. Game level 1, right? Game 1, right? So that could be 30 seconds per frame. That could be 2 hours per line. It gets complicated because you're going through a computer framing now. So when you're basically coming in your own operation system, you're just going through a film shift that's just going into rewind, right? Subposition of team is going forward now. The body's going forward, not going back. You're never going back. So back is just the balance of awareness, of qualifications, of the knowledge that you already know. And once you understand that, you're getting more lines of communication sending to understand that through its operation system. But you have to truly understand what goes on with you through platforms. Okay, through remote and recharge. Because the more you see through the window, the more you connect to yourself inside. Right? Okay, so this is you. Let's get in that position. That's you, right? So 3 lines of communications, right? This is your window. Look how much you can see, right? It's much easier when you can see more, right? It's much easier when you can see more, right? It's much easier when you can see more intelligence coming at you, right? So this is this, okay? But you are in the center in 3 cycles, past, present, future. Past, present, future on a 4-line cycle, right? 3 lines of provision, circulation, rotation. That's how it's set up, right? So you're seeing on lines, eye line setting, seeing lines, eye lines below setting in set position, all through data frame, formation frame, ground frame, correlation setting, Merkaba, tesseract, tetrahedron. Setting lines of all communication lines of travel, direct signals. Modification lines of platforms 1, 2, security lines of 4, 6, 8, and 12. Directing signals and modification lines of center core system and satellites and core center location of stargates and portals and track location. See, all 3 mechanism lines of travel. So this is what it is, guys. So your mind sequence is this way, and this way, this way, and this way. Then it goes this way, then it goes this way. The mind is everywhere. Okay? You are in the center that never leaves. This is you in track location. That's you, right? That's you. Pay attention. This is your face. This is your recognition. That's you, right? Now, what you have to understand is that there's the grounds of you, which is your body. Okay, that's your body, right? So that's position of your earth, right? That keeps you on the earth, right? But you're tethered into the center core system in 3 tractions, right? Directing lines in a 144 track location of tether in set position in all track location to its energetic dome that you all live in. Now, sure to understand how this all works is understanding the intelligence of who you really are. See? See the intelligence of who you really are. So you expand more levels of the mind line. The mind core centers and high subcorrelates and track lines. The mind itself becomes its own platforms of communication setting through its equation. Travel line direct signals crossing reference. Setting lines of communication lines are high direct signals, right? So here's Japan, here's China, here's the States. But you don't leave the center. I'm trying to get you guys to understand these things so you understand the platforms and in that location system. All right. So it's really interesting, right? Location here, location here, location here, all through JumpScar, right? That's how it's all set up, guys, all through travel, right? So once you understand that, then you come into your film strips. This is your film strip right here, right? Setting course centers, data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4. So you log it in, right? Your space, day 8, day 6, day 20. You're logging in, right? Platforms 1, platforms 2, platforms 3, platforms 4, platforms 5, already set up, right? So you're going through that dimension and you're going through the wormhole and line position location that travels into its black hole. Okay? Because you understand what you're doing when you log into space. That's why it's so important. Logging in space keeps you in tractions of where you are in the mind of existing. That's why it's so important when you come on my live that you identify your color and number. So you don't get lost here. Because your body gets very confused of where it is at all times of existing, all timelines all at once. So you decide when you watch anything, does it have a time frame? If it doesn't have a time frame, that's totally fine. But what you can't change is what you can't see, is what's already there, of its own formation, of its own properties, that you're always going to see in its own space, of its own time. So it's not for you to decide on what you see, is what you can't see, is what you're going to see. So it's all lines of provision, how you see yourself, of frequencies of who you are and where you are in your mind. Look how powerful it is in set position. How everything modifies your system in all lines of travel. Knowing exactly what's going on when you're in the system location, closing your eyes. You let everything go. Why is it so easy for your body to relax? Why is it so easy to not remember anything? Why is it so easy to not be stressed? Because you're opening up your mind 100% of the time. So when you open your eyes, you do the same thing 100% of the time. But no, you're at 67%. No, you're at 47%. No, you're at 30% of the mind of capacity. That's your problem. Okay? Because that's all you focus on. It's better to focus on what's going on with 100% capacity that you already are. Not what you think you are, not what you're doing, but you're so distracted when you get up in the morning, you can't focus on your mind and focus on nothing because it's the empty mind of empty space. Because nothing's coming in. So if there's nothing coming in, you decide of what you want to bring in because you're in control. Because I'm telling you, if you're not in control, everything's out of control. And everything around you that you bring in through attractions will start controlling your system. And your body has nothing to do but to react to this system of not what you are in position. Because the thing is, you can't take something out of the equation of who you are. You can only take out things out of the equation that you're not. So get into that position. This helps you and guide you in all ways and forms and how to really start seeing yourself in all track location. Okay? Very powerful stuff, guys. How you see yourself. So when you open your eyes, you're seeing the exact same thing. You're in the balance with both. In your parallels, your paradigms, your polar shifts, okay, your paradoxical systems. How to use your set position, how you see yourself, is knowing exactly how you are in representation of who you are of frequency and where you are in your mind. Existing all the time, all at once, in all time frames, all at once. Okay? All right, that's it. We're done. So I want to stop there because there's so much going on right now. You guys are reaching higher levels of the mind. You come here test day. Test day is basically what you already know. Okay? Not what you're coming into. So please, please do not get confused with that. Because you're confusing yourself in set position locations and you're going to have very hard to understand yourself, to see yourself tomorrow, which never comes because it's always here. Okay? In set position. All right? All right, Q&A, line screen adaptation lines. We're going to the spectacle screen lines in line position location, ether core, line commission setting, direct lines of door lines, cubicle screen adaptation lines of surface, location, command center 8, and track locations. See you in 5.